Hi there, this is Edward Stinga, founder of videoplasty.com, and welcome to the Videoplasty Scriptwriting Mastery course. Today you'll learn how to write effective video scripts that get people to take action. And trust me, after going through the course, you'll start seeing the same patterns and structure everywhere around you, from Fortune 500 videos to TV commercials on your local network. I've been writing video copy and making all kinds of videos for the past 6-7 years now, ranging from explainer videos and sales videos for clients all over the world to TV commercials and short films. During this time, the videos that I made for my clients have ended up generating millions of dollars for them, either as revenue or funding from investors. And in the process, I learned many things about this, and I came up with concepts or research things that have been tested and proven to work time and time again. I did my best to put in all the knowledge that I have about this topic in this quick course and to make it as actionable as possible, so that after you finish watching this, you can go out there and start writing your own scripts, or if you're already doing that, you can go out there and improve your existing or future scripts tremendously, which improves your conversions, which ultimately adds more dollars to your bottom line. Video is known to be able to improve conversions by up to even 300% in some cases, but even if you improve your conversions by 10% or 20%, that's still a lot. Just think about what that means if you're driving thousands and thousands of visitors to your offers. Or another great thing that video can help you with, for example, is we had one client recently that had us make an explainer video for his mobile app, then went on and used that video as a pitch to investors and raised $250,000 to fund his startup and pursue his dream. But if you're already here, I'm sure you don't need me to emphasize the importance of video and how many great things you can do with it. So, without further ado, let's get straight to it. The importance of a story. As the famous saying goes, if a tree falls in a forest and nobody's there, does it make a sound? My answer is, who cares? If nobody understands what your product or service is all about and how it can help them, no one will even notice you. You have this itch, this urge, this desire to share your product or idea with the world. I get it. I know how fulfilling it is to see your own product, idea, or service, something that you've been working so hard on, something that you created out there in the real world, where real people are using it and real people find it valuable. The problem is we all want that feeling. But when a lot of people want to impose their product, service, or ideas onto others, well, the problem becomes quite obvious. We really just don't have the attention to pay for that. Sometimes the here and now reality feels like another app competing for our limited mental RAM. Even though you have the best marketing or have millions of people click on your website, if you can't pitch your product in such a way that it evokes emotions, triggers their interest, and leaves them wanting more, they'll simply click away. Off to your competitor, bye-bye potential customer. The thing not to forget is, every day we are bombarded with information and sources trying to get our attention. We might forget this when we work on our business or startup, but when we step out in the real world, when we step out of the bubble, we notice it quite clearly. Email, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, text messages, WhatsApp, phone calls, colleagues, or clients demanding our attention. So it's so easy to get distracted. But what's interesting to notice is that some things do get our attention. Think about it. On websites or in your social media feed, videos that are short and catchy get our attention, not the long, boring ones. The videos that we personally relate to and are the videos that we find attractive. They talk about a problem we have or a specific situation we find ourselves in. Today, the laws of attraction rule, and they state that when there's so much competing for our attention, we tend to go for the source that engages us and our emotions and that makes us listen. What you want to put out there matters, but what matters more is that content is relevant to what people experience in that moment in time. We pay attention to the things that are relevant to us. And in simple terms, content is king, but context is queen, and they go hand in hand. Videos that are long, boring, and poorly produced often instantly give us a feeling of, that's not worth our time and attention, or what an amateur. When it's about you, we click away. So think about it. When you're about to invest time and money into a video, you want one that actually works. Your investment should not be wasted by producing a video that looks rubbish and goes nowhere. What makes a great script? Let's be clear. There are a lot of different kinds of videos, documentaries, movies, television commercials, you name it. They all have their own strengths, benefits, and their own way of telling a story. And just to remove any confusions, we're talking about explainer or sales videos here. You know, the small 60, 75, 90-second videos with cute animations or professional moving motion graphics. They can even be live action or a mix of everything combined. The main purpose is to get people's attention, tell your story, trigger their emotion, and activate them to take action quickly. And when we realize that this is the main purpose of explainer videos, that there are quite some points that can really make a difference between having a video that just sits there collecting dust and one that actually leads the viewer through a process and engages them. When you know what those are, you will see that those techniques are not just for explainer or sales videos, but are incredibly relevant to a lot of other situations. Pretty much every time you want to positively influence someone, this will be the strategy to fall back on. It's what I use on my websites, in presentations, and of course in explainer or sales videos. These principles have stood a test of time, and quite possibly you already use some of them in real life, but we fail to see that the same rules apply when making an online video. Number 1, it's all about the viewer. Whatever industry you're in, people trust people. We are social creatures that find enjoyment and fulfillment from working and collaborating with others. We buy from people we trust, people that make us feel seen and understood, people that give us a great feeling while actually solving our problems. Now, when we think of an explainer video, we often tend to think that completely different rules apply. However, although the medium of delivery and interaction is different, video to person rather than person to person, connecting with your audience through video is pretty similar to selling in person. From now on, see your explainer videos as a virtual salesman, pitching your idea or product to your viewer, always in the correct way, even when you're asleep. Of course, video to person selling is different in a few ways, which will compensate with a few elements in the script. For example, asking questions to find out what the client or customer wants or needs is hard when you use a fixed video, but we can focus our video on specific problems and situations. This might not speak to all of your viewers, but it makes those that do fall under that category feel understood. Those are the ones you want. A video speaks through the screen to the viewer, and because it establishes a connection this way, it has to actually talk to the viewer. Nobody likes a completely faceless corporation or small business that says, we can do this, we have done this, and this so many times that our solutions are the best. People aren't selfish in everything they do, only doing things for their own benefit, but they do feel more engaged when they are being talked to. They tend to listen in what's in it for me mode. This personalization is established in 2 ways. A, you talk in an informal way, and your industry basically determines how far you can go with this. For example, if you explained your pitch or product to a friend, how would you do it? This is something you should try. How would you tell your story to a friend? How would you make them relate to what you're saying? You will find that there are a couple of things that you're doing different when you're writing a formal presentation, for example. You use more filler words like right or so, and a more casual use of language. That's also what you should do, what you should use in your video, to a certain extent, of course. Remember, an explainer video is not a press release, it's a way of connecting with your audience. So connect and don't bore them with pretentious talk. And B, you actually talk about them and not you. In a conversation with a friend, do you only talk about yourself? Probably not. One of the biggest mistakes I see companies make is that they produce videos, and often pretty well, where they only talk about themselves. What they've gone through, what they're selling, what their prices are, how they work, what cool features their products have, but nothing about the viewer, not a single thing. Now, there's a time and place for everything, and it might be great for a stakeholders meeting, but even then it should take into account the wants and needs of the audience. It's not something you should do to connect with a potential client. You want to enter their world, understand where they're coming from, make them feel understood, and then tell your story, the solution to all their problems, frustrations, and obstacles, in his words, through his worldview. In one of his talks, French philosopher Alain de Botton said, "At the heart of successful entrepreneurship is an accurate insight into the causes of human unhappiness. To be an entrepreneur means essentially to become an expert in the things that make life difficult for people. This is profound. Be an expert in the things that make your audience's lives difficult. What does an expert do? They know everything about a set of problems, who has them, when they occur, and how to solve them. He knows the ins and outs, and he knows the details. Be an expert. Talk about the difficulties your target audience experiences, and the impact those difficulties have on their personal lives and their business lives. Talk about the lives of your potential clients, because then they will listen. A problem rarely ends with the problem. There's pretty much always a bigger problem or need to be fulfilled. Talk about it. Wouldn't you pay attention if someone would narrate exactly what is going on in your life? Wouldn't that feel like the person knew you, even just a little bit? Number 2, we are emotional beings. Human beings are emotional beings. Often we do things for emotional reasons and later justify them with rationalizations. Think about it. You or your girlfriend went out shopping and came back with 3 pairs of new shoes. Did you or she really need new shoes? Probably not. But the entire experience of going out and trying different shoes gave her a feeling of novelty, of exciting variety. It also gave her a feeling of significance, looking beautiful in new shoes. Besides that, it probably also gave her a feeling of connection and bonding when other people were involved, for example, friends. The same thing is true for videos. When a viewer thinks your product or service will give him or her certainty, significance, connection, and elevation of pain and again of pleasure, he or she will most likely rationalize that she actually needs it. So your product or service doesn't even need to be the best, but of course, that's what you should strive for. It's all about how you market it. What core emotions do your clients experience when they use your product, service, idea, or initiative? Now, Anthony Robbins, who is a peak performance coach of American presidents, Mother Teresa, world famous actors, and top athletes, identified the 6 core human needs every human seeks to fulfill, which are certainty, uncertainty, variety, connection, love, significance, growth, and contribution. We all have different and often multiple ways of fulfilling these needs, and your product or service fulfills one or more for your clients as well. Maybe your product or service gives clients the peace of mind to continue their own services. In that case, it provides certainty. Maybe your service delivers food to clients all over town. In that way, it provides a sense of variety, possibly even of significance when you can show off to your friends. Does your product allow others to grow their business? If so, then it might be the case that they are coming to you for a way to feel significant because they can reach more people, or growth, or contribution, or for a mix of reasons. You see, every individual customer is different, but they all have common underlying drivers, let's be honest. You don't buy insurance because you want to spice up your life. If you're in business, and if you're watching this, you most probably are, then fundamentally you are in the business of selling feelings and emotions. You sell peace of mind, a way of connecting, feelings of excitement from a new experience. You get the point. Research your target audience like a detective and use your findings in writing your script. By understanding the core emotional reasons of why people buy from you, you can talk to those emotional needs. What's even more interesting, Robbins found that even when something or someone fulfills 4 or more of our needs, we become addicted to it. Isn't that fascinating? So when your product or service, for example, gives people certainty, the variety, the significance, and connection, they will quite possibly come back. Structure of a story that sells. So how do we make all this practical? How do we create a script that we can use as the foundation of a video that actually talks to the viewer, about the viewer, and triggers their emotion? If you pay close attention to the best videos out there, the ones that not only look beautiful but actually spark engagement and action, you'll see a common pattern appear. A structure that we can use to tell our own story in a convincing way. Part number 1 is identification or attention grabber. First of all, at the start of a video, we want to get a viewer's attention. We don't have to be outrageously loud or annoying, but we simply have to trigger their interest in learning more about your company and product and watch more of the video. This could be a description of a situation that sounds very familiar to the viewer, a bold problem or a fact that is undeniable, or something that surprises us. For example, stating that something is the opposite of what our common sense tells us. Answer this question to yourself. If you were searching for a product like yours, what would grab your attention? For example, we made a video recently for a company selling a software to a demographic that wasn't very good with computers, and all the available offers on the market were just very, very complex. So the way we started that video was feeling confused with technology. That's it. That's all it takes to grab their attention and make them keep watching. Number 2, problem, frustration, or obstacle. Often the video starts with a line or a couple of lines that mix both the identification part with the problem part. We might say something like, the office was the workplace of the 20th century, but in the internet era, the office is replaced by online platforms where work is done by individuals who work where, when, and for whomever they want. This instantly captured the essence of the problem. How we work is changing rapidly. Companies that experience this will say, yes, that's me, that's my problem. That's basically the internal reaction we want to trigger. That's me, or that's exactly my problem. Number 2 again, problem, frustration, obstacle, but with competitors or the status quo, the usual way of doing business. I know this looks similar to number 2, but is slightly different. When a problem is stated, subtle or not so subtle, a solution is not fulfilling if there are already a lot of solutions out there. By addressing the status quo, the way the viewer might deal with the problem right now, we can differentiate you from all the others out there. Their solutions isn't good enough. For example, you sell website design and development. Today, everyone's online. We connect, shop, and learn. So when you want to stay relevant, you want to sell your products where everyone is looking for them. An old, slow website doesn't cut it anymore. People expect to have their information instantly. So you see, in this case, the first part focuses on the problem that a potential client is after. The second part on how they now deal with the solution. Number 3, magical, easy, instant solution. All human beings want the shortcut. We all want that instant solution, but life is not that black and white, and the devil is in the details. One product or service will probably not solve all the problems. But if you want to see your product or idea out there actually being used, it's important that you stand up and make yourself be counted. And to do that, it's important to know that people are guided by a lot of cognitive fallacies, flaws in our reasoning and patterns of thinking that are not based on reason, but on other deep ingrained emotions like fear and the need of security. So one of the things that people fall for, and I still do, is the cognitive fallacy of polarized thinking. In other words, we place things or people in either or categories, which with no shades of gray, allowing for the complexity of most situations and persons. It's our certainty bias. When we introduce the company or product, we want it to sound like the actual solution to their problems, not the maybe this will work solution. Working with you is the simple, magical solution. Number 4, how to or reaffirming the easiness. People want to know how things are done. They want to understand what you will do for them. So tell them, lead them by the hand through your process. And as human beings, we chunk things often in threes, meaning we tend to think in 1, 2, 3, many. So if you're explaining a process, try to chunk it down to 3 steps or phases. And I know you might think, but what if what we do is much more complex than 3 steps? Still, try to think from the perspective of the viewer. They don't want to watch a video of 15 minutes and hear about all the exact details. A lot of them are still deciding if you're the right match out there. If what you do is complex, then do something like step 1, we'll come over for coffee and dig deep into what you need. Step 2, we'll craft a detailed proposal outlining everything from timeline to breakdown of the cost, so everything is crystal clear before we even start. And step 3, we get to work and update you every step of the way. The how-to is intended to reaffirm the easiness that you will bring to their life. Don't make it complex, make it easy basically. Number 5, benefits, not features. People want to know what's in it for them. They don't necessarily care about the features, they care about the benefits that those features have for them. It's great that your solution solves their problem 25% quicker than the competitor, but the viewer cares about what this allows them to have, which is more time to do other important tasks, spend with their kids or on the couch with their partner, more freedom to do what they want. Again, this is the moment to go truly deep into their core human needs. How can you frame the benefits of your product or service in such a way that it addresses the core human needs that your audience seeks to fulfill? Number 6, credibility. Here we give the answer to the question, who are we to say that? We all tend to follow authorities. We trust the advice of the doctor because he's the doctor. We trust the advice of a lawyer because he's a lawyer. We trust the company that's serving the royal family because they're serving the royal family. So how can we make a product or company seem like an authority? By displaying things that prove your credibility. Logos of well-known clients, a number of people already served, or overwhelmingly positive testimonials, awards received, the credits of the founders and the team, etc. One of the things that will give you credibility as well is by giving out a guarantee. For example, get your first month for free, or we'll give you your money back if you don't increase your website traffic by 20% or more. Number 7, call to action. When people know that you're talking to them, that you can solve their problems, that you will make it easy for them and that it will fulfill their emotional needs, it's time for action basically. Realize that people often don't buy a product right away when they see it unless it's very cheap or they were already looking for something like it for ages. Most people have a mild interest or are shopping around, so a heavy call to action like buy now will not actually attract them. Just like doing or closing a sale in real life, relationships need to be built, and a video is the first interaction. When you invite them to test something out or read further or download the free analysis, it will make them trust you more. You're not instantly trying to sell them, you're just providing value. It's important to make the call to action specific though. Want to invite them to learn more about what you can do? Say something like, download our free case studies or watch our portfolio of happy clients. Another thing that often works is to remind people why it's important to act now. Why should they do something now instead of a year from now? Scarcity and urgency are two powerful things to add to your call to action. We all tend to value something that is scarce and act quicker when something is urgent and important. So just as a recap, we'll also do a step-by-step structure that you'll also be able to download somewhere on this page so you can easily follow yourself and just fill in the gaps. Number 1, identification, attention. What sentence would instantly get the attention of your audience? A big problem they have or situation they recognize all too well. Number 2, problem, frustration, obstacle. What's causing unhappiness in the lives of your prospective clients? What are their frustration, their problems, the obstacles they experience? Number 2, problem, frustration, obstacle with competitors or the status quo, the usual way of doing business. What things are wrong with the status quo, the usual way of doing this? Why is it time for a new way to approach the problem? A note, this doesn't have to be a revolutionary startup idea, it can also be a more reliable solution or just a better customer service. Number 3, the magical instant solution. How do you introduce your company so that it's the easiest solution? Even if it's a complex solution, how is yours still the easiest? Number 4, how to or reaffirming the easiness. How does your product, service, or process work? What 3 steps will the viewer experience? Number 5, benefits not features. What's in it for them? What human needs does your product or service fulfill? Number 6, credibility. Why should your viewers listen to you? And how can you tell them that in a subtle way? Number 7, call to action. What action would you like your viewers to take? Take into account that people often need more than one point of contact before they buy, so a more subtle call to action that would invite them in even more could work better. The audio-video balance. So we've laid out a structure that you could use to write a killer video script. These are the psychological principles and techniques that Fortune 500 companies use to create online commercials and videos. It's important to notice, however, that the story is not only told with voiceover. Although it's a crucial element, visuals play an important role in the video as well, obviously. And the rule of thumb to make is they have to convey the exact same thing as the voiceover. So when you're looking for a designer or designing the visuals yourself, it's important to take a moment and reflect on a couple of points. Which visuals will connect most with your audience? Which situations and jokes will appeal to them? Which visual details illustrate their pain and problems the best? How can you convey a sense of credibility with your visuals? And here's a tip. Show the thousands of clients that went before them, show the logos of the big shot companies that you've served, or quick testimonials of clients. You get the point. You can basically go through the same structure but then apply it to the visuals. There is nothing worse than having a video with a well-crafted story and script but with crappy visuals. Alright, so that's pretty much it for this course. You should now have everything you need to write amazing video scripts better than pretty much most people out there. All you need to do is follow the structures and basically just fill in the gaps. One thing I want to mention though is that you should take it easy and take it slow. It's a process. You're not going to write the perfect script on the first try. Write a first draft, sleep over it, and take a fresh look tomorrow and see what you can improve. You can also give it to a close friend to read and see if he or she gets the point they're trying to send across or if you're missing something. And also keep in mind that this is just a guideline. Every situation is different, and if your common sense tells you to do something differently, by all means go for it. Alright, so this was Edward Stunga, founder of Videoplasty.com. I hope you enjoyed watching this and that you've learned a lot of new things. Now it's time to go out there and make amazing videos. We'll talk soon.